Hi, friends. My name is Donna Hatasaki, and I am the Director of Spiritual Formation and Soul Care for Young Life. Today, I'd like to explore with you a simple practice that can increase your intimacy with God and your intimacy within your Young Life leadership team if you will integrate it into your lives. Here it is. Be available to God. Be available to one another. Be vulnerable with God. Be vulnerable with one another. This is a simple practice that's found at the heart of the Celtic Christians, the guide for a practice for their faith community and for their lives. Be available to God, be available to one another, be vulnerable with God, be vulnerable with one another. It's a simple practice with profound implications. We all long for connection with God and connection with one another. In fact, I'll go so far as to say that's what we long for most of all. We long for an ever-deepening connection with God and an ever-deepening connection with one another. And to borrow a tagline, our tagline from Young Life, we were made for this. We were made to experience intimacy with God and intimacy with one another. And this, by the way, is what the kids that we're seeking to reach long for too. But unless we learn to cultivate this kind of connection and intimacy for ourselves and with our teams, then we'll not be able to offer it to kids. It's been well said that we will be like travel agents selling tickets to a place we've never been. So today I want to give you two simple words that will help you become available to God and available to one another, to become vulnerable with God and vulnerable with one another. Two simple words. I am. Those two words, I am, are like a key that will unlock the door to intimacy with God and intimacy with one another. Those two words will help you become available and vulnerable at the same time. So let me explain. First, the words I am help you to become available. They help anchor you in this very moment. They help you become present. Too often we live as I was, or I wish I were, or I will be, or I hope I will be. We're preoccupied with the past or lost in the future. But if we'll take a moment to begin to say, I am, then those two words will begin to anchor us in this moment, and we'll begin to be available and present to God, to ourselves, and to others. Now, it's important what words come after those two words. What words come after the words I am? So I'm going to give you 5 good words to choose from. I am sensing, I am thinking, I am feeling, I am wanting, I am doing. Let's take them one at a time. I am sensing. This literally invites you to engage your physical senses, your sense of touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing. I am sensing invites you to become an embodied being, to locate yourself in your body through an increased awareness of your senses. Jesus was an embodied being. The Word became flesh. He was the incarnation. And in order for us to become available to God and to others, we must become embodied beings as well and say, I am sensing. To take a moment and increase our awareness of what we are seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling. A second phrase, I am thinking. We need to become present and available in the moment, and that requires that we increase our awareness of what thoughts are percolating through our minds. What questions are we asking? What doubts are we having? What is that conversation that is circulating through our system? And then I am feeling. Emotional feeling. This can be a little more difficult for some of us because maybe we've been taught that we're supposed to ignore or disregard our feelings. But increasing our awareness of what we are feeling emotionally in the moment is essential for us to become present and available to God, to ourselves, and to others. And then I am wanting. It's such an important part of this process, increasing our awareness of what we are wanting, what we're desiring or longing for. This is huge. God is so deeply interested in our longings. And increasing our intimacy with God and with others requires that we begin to tell the truth about our longings and desires. And then finally, I am doing. Notice what you are actually doing. What action are you taking? What movement are you making? So if you'll practice pausing throughout the day and taking an I am inventory, I am sensing, I am thinking, I am feeling, I am wanting, and I am doing, then you will find yourself becoming increasingly present in the moment. And when you become present, then you will be able to become available and accessible to God and to others. Now, coincidentally, those two words, I am, are also the two words that will help you become vulnerable with God, with yourself, and with others. As you pause and begin to tell the truth about what you are sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing, then that's the very definition of becoming vulnerable. Telling the unvarnished truth about what you're sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing opens the door for intimacy with God, with yourself, and with others. Now, you might notice that the two words are not you are. When we gather as a team and seek closer connection with one another, the key words are not you are. The key words are I am. I am is the key to vulnerability and leads to intimacy. You are is too often the key to blame and leads to division. This is simple, but it isn't easy. It takes practice to pause and become I am instead of I was or I will be or you are. It takes humility and courage to tell the truth about what you are sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing. But friends, there's really no other way to connect deeply with God and with one another. In Exodus chapter 3, Moses asked God, "What shall I say to the Israelites if they ask me your name?" God said, "I am who I am." God said to Moses, "Tell them, I am has sent you." Much later in John chapter 8, Jesus was speaking to the religious leaders, and he linked himself directly to those words from Exodus. Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am." And the religious leaders wanted to stone him to death for invoking the name of God, I am. God exists as I am. Jesus is the great I am. And if we want to connect with God, then we connect I am to I am. It's the only way. We cannot connect I am to I was, or I am to I will be, or I am to you are. We can only connect I am to I am. The night before he died, Jesus prayed for you, and he prayed for me. In John 17, Jesus prayed, "My prayer is not only for my disciples here and now. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message." That's you and me. And then Jesus prayed to the Father, "I pray that they may be one, Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. May they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me." Jesus is talking about deep connection and intimacy with God and with one another. So you see how essential it is that we begin to connect deeply with God and with one another. That's how we become the answer to Jesus's prayer. Our deep connection with God and with one another is the key to the world believing that Jesus is the Son of God. If kids don't see us connecting deeply with one another as a team, it's going to be difficult for them to believe what we have to say about Jesus. And so how do we become the answer to Jesus's prayer? We practice becoming available to God and available to one another. We practice becoming vulnerable with God and vulnerable with one another. And the key to that practice are the words, I am. So here's what I would invite you to do. The next time you're feeling disconnected from God, create some space and take some time to simply begin to say, I am. Maybe you take out a piece of paper and you write out as many times as you can, I am, and complete that sentence in God's presence. Lord, I am angry. Lord, I am confused. Lord, here's what I'm thinking. Lord, here's what I'm longing for. I am longing for fill in the blank. As you simply begin to complete that sentence in God's presence, I am, it's going to help you become available to and vulnerable with God, and a deeper connection will begin to happen because He is available to you more than you are to yourself. He said, I am with you always. I am with you always. As we begin to say, I am, then we become present with Him and deep connection begins to happen. And the next time you're feeling disconnected with one another as a team, create some space and take some time to sit with one another and begin to say, I am. Begin to tell the truth to one another about what you're sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing. And see what begins to happen. I believe you'll begin to experience a deeper connection with one another. And when kids see it, they will want to know the Jesus who calls Himself I am. Now, you might think it's kind of hard to remember those 5 words. I am's easy enough, but sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing. So here's a little code that a staff associate came up with. So the fun won't die. So the fun won't die. Sensing, S, so. Thinking, T. The. Feeling, F, fun. Wanting, W, won't. And doing, D, die. So the fun won't die. Sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, doing. Remember that little trick, and it might help you become present and say, I am sensing, thinking, feeling, wanting, and doing. This takes time. It takes practice. It takes humility and courage, but the payoff is supreme. God bless you as you seek to become available to and vulnerable with God and one another.